So yeah, just start, right? Okay. I'm George Garcia, and my proposition is that electric drive vehicles will effectively replace internal combustion engine vehicles in the next 6 years. And basically, electric drive vehicles are thought of as exotic and really like weird alternatives to the normal internal combustion engine vehicle. But I believe that they are the future of the automotive industry and are a responsible alternative to the internal combustion engine vehicle. Now, there are some definitions I feel like I should give you before we start, and it's the ICE, or internal combustion engine vehicle, is a vehicle that utilizes an engine where combustion of a fuel occurs internally and then it is exposed to air in an oxidizer. And an EDV is an electric drive vehicle, which is a vehicle that uses an electric motor, motors, or traction motors, and also a method of storing the fuel via battery or conduction. Now, my first supporting claim is that electric vehicles are successful in achieving the range or variety of the ICE vehicle currently. And a good example of this is the 2016 Tesla Model S 90D. And according to the EPA's 2016 Green Vehicle Guide, the 2016 Tesla Model S 90D scored a 303.2 miles per charge, which is exceeding the coveted 300-mile marker for any electric vehicle ever, basically. And the time to charge, as stated by Tesla's charge time calculator, and Rick Popely, who has been covering automotive news for decades and currently works for Cars.com, the time to fully charge a Tesla Model S after spending 300 miles using its 80 amp chargers, dual 80 amp chargers, is 4 hours and 45 minutes, which is, I would say, is pretty fast actually. And so not only does it achieve the distance and the efficiency of the normal ICE vehicle, but there are currently 25 different models of electric vehicles to choose from, including the BYD E6 from China, which has a range of 250 miles and costs $31,000. And also the GM Bolt, which is US manufactured and has a range of 200 miles and costs $35,000. My second supporting claim is that electric vehicles are more money and environmentally efficient than the ICE vehicle. Now, per half-hour charge, you receive an average of 30 miles of runtime from the electric vehicle, which may seem like a waste of your time, but if you were to come across a Tesla supercharger, which are available around the country at various places, the car will tell you, you receive 150 miles per half-hour charge, which is not that bad, I would say. And the cost of charging an electric vehicle to full charge after spending 300 miles is around $6.30 to $8.91. And according to the United States Department of Transportation, the average mileage of a domestic passenger car is 23 miles per gallon. And as stated by the American Automobile Association, the average gas price is $2.74. So over a year, just by switching to an electric vehicle, you would save around $1,328 in fuel alone, which is enough to take you to Disneyland 14 times, if you want a reference of how much that is. Now, the tailpipe emissions from an electric vehicle are zero, which is 100% less than an ICE vehicle, and currently cars and trucks account for 1/5 of all CO2 emissions, and CO2 emissions are the number one cause of global warming and pollution on Earth. Now, my third supporting claim is that the future is ready for the electric drive vehicle market and is currently developing at a faster rate than ever before, which is shown by Tesla, which is basically their future plan. They've already unveiled 3 different models, but their future models include a commercial shipping vehicle, so a large transporter of shipping packages and such, a commercial transport vehicle, which is like a bus or a bus fleet, which is what they would use, and a pickup truck, which they will be unveiling in 2018. Tesla also has the most advanced system of autopilot on the market, which honestly, if you were to think of the future, wouldn't you think of autopilot as honestly an aspect of it? And many countries are actually switching to renewable energy sources and are making plans to stop non-renewable sources permanently. It is because of these reasons, such as that the market of the electric vehicle already resembles the ICE vehicle, that the fact that it is money and environmentally more efficient, and that the future is ready for it, that I believe that electric drive vehicles will effectively replace the internal combustion engine vehicles in the next 6 years.
Do you have an outline for me? Thank you. Well, you gave us some definitions at the beginning, which I thought were fine. Probably not as necessary as a preview would have been. So I thought maybe you maybe failed us a little bit in regard to that. But you have a very clear statement of your proposition. And when you identify 6 years as your time frame that you're talking about, I think you're incumbent to, once you've given us that time frame, to demonstrate that that is a legitimate period of time that we're talking about. So in essence, we're talking, let me see, this is 2016, I got to do 2022. By 2022, that these things are really going to be replacing. That's a lot of cars that you're going to have to be getting off the road and replacing with new cars. I don't know that the turnover on all cars, including the ICEs, as you recall them, would be complete enough to say that that would happen in 6 years, much less in 20 years. I mean, let me say, I got to think about it just in my head. My car is 14 years, 2002. I'm doing math in my head in front of people. I swear I would never do that. So I'm driving a car for 14 years. The idea that I'm going to turn it over in 6 years, I'm hoping to drive it for another 14 years because I'm a cheapskate, So I think there's a presupposition here that it's just the technology is going to fix this problem, when in fact I think there are other social issues that are involved that you haven't addressed. I did think that you addressed some pretty important issues, and that is the practicality of the electric vehicle. You've got some good arguments about cost comparisons, about the mileage issue. I thought that went pretty well. The environmental issue is raised as a point. I think it could be developed a little bit more as an argument why people would want to move to these sorts of vehicles, or why there would be social pressure to move people toward those sorts of vehicles, and maybe that would accelerate the turnaround time because we're going to penalize people. It's going to be harder. We're going to look down our noses at people who are driving ICEs. That's like, I don't know. We're going to turn them into bus riders. The equivalent of. I'm sorry. Does anybody here take the bus? One person. I'm sorry. Everybody who drives a car looks at all those people in buses and says, "Those poor people," And maybe we'll have our noses, pointed down at people in a few years and say, "All those poor people who are driving the internal combustion engines, shame on them. Too bad for them." That's a social change that maybe would produce some pressure to get this, but I don't think you demonstrate that that's going to happen. Like I said, I thought you had good information on the viability of the cars, on the desirability of the cars. That the technology is getting there, but you're the one who came up with this 6-year time. I didn't say that. You're the one who said that, and I think that you've set yourself up for a problem there, and that would probably be the place that the respondent's going to be addressing most of their focus on. I thought you did a very nice job presenting the evidence. I thought you had an excellent summary at the end of the speech, trying to make your final pitch for us to believe that, and that worked really well. So there's a lot of good stuff in the speech. But I think you may be falling short in some of the goals that you set for yourself at the beginning of the presentation. All right, thank you.